You
Hello?
agree? Oh, hello?
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 Oh, hello.
Hi. Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? I-
Hello?
oh, hey.
I can't hear you. Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Hello? Hi. I'm
Oh,
JizzyJ. You're the Gweeb.
whoa. I didn't know that, but that's good to know. But
Wait a minute.
so if I'm the Gweeb and you're JizzyJ, does does that mean wait, wait, hold on. I'm sorry. You're JizzyJ. I'm the Gweeb. It's 11:57 p.m. on the dot, which means
No way.
it's the evening. It's
So
about
that
30.
must mean this is JizzyJ and the Gweeb in the morning, about 3 minutes from the evening and 3 minutes from the morning.
I do believe that is a correct assessment of
God damn.
what's going on.
Well, I heard a voice in here earlier. Um, I assume that we have a guest today. Let me just double check. Oh, yep, and we have a Pbuonbuon to talk to us today.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you here. Pbuonbuon is actually the world's number one most famous conductor and elevator musician. So
Yep.
thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was looking forward to coming on tonight, this
We
morning,
were looking forward to having you.
whatever.
We were counting down the days because we have never met an actual elevator music composer. Now, I always thought that these songs just came with the elevator. Whenever they installed it, but
Mm-hmm.
it took me some time to learn that people actually there's a professional behind the
Yes.
scene,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
and we're very glad that you're here today
Yeah,
to
very.
explain.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
I've actually
And
been a fan of yours for about 8 years now. Ever since I
Really?
stepped foot in my
Man,
first elevator.
go
yeah,
way back.
he showed me the vinyls. Actually, we got some vinyls of your
Oh,
work,
yeah.
and yeah, when we played them. We took the recording, the player to the elevator, and we were listening because the elevator actually didn't have a speaker, so
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it's kind of like an aux plug-in, but.
All right.
Yeah, it was wonderful. But I was hoping, yeah, today you could just discuss us, like the dark sides of the elevator industry, and like your experiences, because this show is all about the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Well, first of all, I'd like to talk about the general like music theory behind elevator music because elevator music has one real main goal, and that is to usually calm the people that are on the elevator. Because I
Mm.
mean, for some people, it can be a very fearful experience, and so my job is to provide some music for them to, get them through their ride.
Yes.
Mhm. Something typically soft, not too heavy, and light.
Very
Lots
interesting.
of like light cymbals and light piano. Um, but you ever notice that you never hear any like guitar or uh, it's always
No. Why is that?
well because a guitar is more like abrasive, particularly an electric guitar. Um, whereas it kind of like takes hold of the whole situation, whereas you kind of want it to be in the background. I mean,
Yeah, you want.
elevator music has always been background music. You don't want it to, you know, um, I don't know. As I said, take hold of the situation.
Yeah, I see what you're trying to say. You don't want it to, control your life, control where you're going, because you want that passing time to be, not really into your consciousness. You want it to be separate, and that music really takes you from your real life perspective to a different realm while you're in the
Mm-hmm.
elevator. And
It's
yeah, continue.
oh, I was gonna say it's about. I mean, the whole point of an elevator is the journey.
Oh
So
yeah,
if you have some crazy music, then it becomes about the music. and it's not about the music. It's about the journey. It's supposed to accompany you and guide you,
Yeah,
but it's not
that's a
supposed
lot
to
of
be
things people
you.
don't think about.
Hmm.
I remember you telling me about that. That's something not a lot of people really, they go about their day and they just think, an elevator is supposed to take you up and down, but that's not really the point of the creation of it. It's like really it's a ride.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I actually wanted to talk about that though. You mentioned going up and down in the elevator. You know, when most of us listen to music like in the car or just sitting stationary, we're hearing the musical waves come at us either in a stationary position or horizontally. I want to know what if there's like a different process when you're creating music that people listen to while they're traveling vertically.
Hmm. Well, I haven't done too much work in horizontal moving elevators. So most of my work is vertical. Um,
Mm.
but like horizontal music would be more along the lines of what you would listen to in your car, because at the
Right.
end of the day, you are moving horizontally in your car.
Right, but is there like a different process that you go through to kind of create music that suits vertical travel more than horizontal travel?
Yes. I mean, there are two forms of vertical movement. There's up and there's down, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're moving up, I to try and have like something in my composition that has like a building, kind of like think of something that starts very low, but then as you're rising in the elevator, you're rising in tone as well. So it kind of amps you up, and
Uh,
as the elevator lifts you up.
Oh, so it kind of elevates you.
Hmm.
like the gravity's getting weaker and the pressure is getting less.
Hmm.
And the
Exactly.
tone decreasing. I understand.
Hmm.
Wow. And see, I never stepped into a horizontal elevator, so I can't really compare the two. But it has influenced me, especially in different aspects of like growing up and developing. Every
Hmm.
time I step in an elevator, definitely, I remember your work, and I know that you're the primary elevator physician, so you're everywhere. And I just want to reiterate how glad I am for you to be on our show today. You're probably one of my biggest fans, and
I am one of your biggest fans.
yeah, you are. And so yeah, I just wanted to start talking about I heard about the industry, the composer industry, and I
Hmm.
heard how violent it could be at some points. How the people from the bottom really have to work to get to the top, and it's dirty work. And I know you being from the top, I just want to hear a little bit of experience about the people that you've dealt with through the industry.
Well, contrary to popular belief, there isn't a whole lot of competition in the elevator music game. Not to say there is none. I actually know many of the other big players in the elevator music game. Like I'm good friends with. But the thing is, I think competition breeds advancement. Like
Uh,
if people are competing with one another, then it just brings out the best in both parties. So I have no problems competing with fellow composers and competing with fellow musicians, because it really um, makes everyone just the best that they can be.
mm-hmm, I see. And you are the best, and you beat all those composers. Now, were there any negative aspects of this, being on top?
Um, I think, yeah, for sure. Being on top kind of puts this weight on you. It's like you are the best, so you have this expectation to live up to.
Yeah, you're in every elevator, so that's a pretty
Hmm.
big deal.
Yes.
That's
So
like being president.
like it it's like people don't as much care for me as the person. They care for me as the music. So I mean, for the most part, it's always like instead of hey, how are you doing? It's when is your next when are you gonna release your next set of music for elevators? And I work a lot, but it takes time.
Would you know, being the biggest elevator musician of our time and just of all time, just history, do you find it that, you know, when you step foot in an elevator, even just out in public anywhere, that people usually recognize who you are?
Um, I know it might be hard to believe, but no.
No way.
People
That's
don't typically recognize me, but that's
wow.
okay because it really makes it extra special when someone does because
Oh,
it's like, oh, they're really passionate about elevators and elevator music and my music and how important it was in their life.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just really crazy to me. You know that people don't recognize you. I've been in quite a few elevators in my time, and actually just recently I heard you in the Petaluma Motel 6 elevator, and that was just kind of groundbreaking for me. So it's just
Yeah.
surprising that, you know, people don't recognize who you are and just the amazing talent and kind of just the major change that you've brought to the world and just society.
And I mean, that's why I wanted to come on this show so bad, is because I've heard that you guys are such fans, and I definitely wanted to pay my respects to you as fellow content creators, um, and show my admiration for you guys and what you do because I mean it's a lot of work, and I think it's great. You guys are doing great work.
Oh, thank you,
I,
and so are you.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, I really appreciate all the things you do for us. But as you know, if you didn't know our show before, you know we really like to get into the nitty gritty
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
industry.
Hmm.
And so I'm going to change this discussion a little bit, and I know this probably make you a little uncomfortable. I just want
That's
to
fine.
reiterate,
Hmm.
Gweeb and I, we run a very safe place to talk about anything you will ever want. Nobody will come after you, and nobody will threaten you or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it and just start it.
Okay.
Last weekend I was in Baghdad, and I was on an elevator in a royal suite hotel I was staying at for work. Now I heard one of your songs, and I recognized it immediately because you know it's one of the most generic ones I've heard in the States multiple times. But
Mhm.
this time something odd happened to me that I never really understood. And now I'm glad that you're here, so hopefully you can answer it if you're comfortable.
Mhm.
But so many of you know elevators. If they malfunction, they have a tendency to just drop and keep falling. You know, that's not a situation you want to be in. So, and I thought I was in that situation last weekend uh, until I realized that I actually wasn't dropping. I was actually going up. I was falling up at an enormous speed. So, and at first I was really confused. I thought the elevator doesn't have enough power to push me up this high. I'm definitely falling, but I'm going up. Until I recognized the song. Now the song was your original piece, but it was actually playing in reverse. Now this was really puzzling to me, and I hope you'd like to shed some light on this.
So you're saying that my song was being played in reverse and you were falling
Mhm.
up.
Yes, it's the song started in reverse, and then it started going right up really fast, like so
Wait.
fast that I hit the ground, and I like couldn't stand up.
Are you okay? Like, did you get any injuries or anything like that?
So I actually lost my foot in that incident.
Oh.
You know the guardrails on the edge of the elevators, my foot got stuck in it, and then as soon as it started going up, my body hit the ground, and then my foot was lost.
Ouch. I'm sorry to hear that.
I was able to get my toes back though.
Well, your toes without your foot?
Yeah, so it's kind of like
So
my
did you just
heel,
like
and then the toes attached to the bottom.
I was gonna say, did you just have them sewn on to like a nub or something like that?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, at least you still have your toes.
yeah. I can still grab things, you know, with my foot, but I mean,
Oh.
not with my foot, with my heel.
Hmm.
Uh huh.
But I think to get back to your point, you said you're in Baghdad.
Uh huh. This
Well,
was during the massacre of 1983.
they've they've been doing a lot of pirating of my music, and in that pirating process, they something happens to my music, and it takes on like a effect, and that effect is what you experienced. Sometimes it can play in reverse, and in that process, the elevator works in reverse. And so what happened was you fell, and normally you would fall down, but in this case you fell up because
Yes.
it was a pirated version of my song, and
Wow.
that's what happens.
Oh, that's really interesting phenomenon that you know that you experienced, JizzyJ, and that you actually Pbuonbuon, that you actually know about this. So this something that happens pretty fairly often?
I mean, I've heard of a couple instances of it before you telling me your story, of music playing in reverse. Nothing as serious as yours. No one was ever injured. The elevator itself just worked in reverse. Um, but yeah, if in every single case, it's been in a country that has been known to pirate, or, in other words, steal um, versions of my work, among others, and that's what happens. So I mean, I would advise people not to do that out of safety, um,
Uh-huh.
because
Okay.
yeah, it's not what it's meant for.
Right,
Okay.
for safety reasons, and even just for respect out of, you know, for you, you're not getting paid the royalties of your elevator music being played if it's being pirated. But even especially if it's reversed, you know, you're actually losing money that way, because since it's being played reverse, it's like they're taking away the profit of a play for you. So I
Exactly.
mean, that's just not
Mhm.
very good business on their end.
I mean,
But
thankfully there aren't many elevators in Baghdad.
right.
Uh-uh.
Especially
Definitely not.
last week in 1983, there, you know, I've heard that they've added a couple, but last week in
They actually
1983 there
I
was
mean,
they
but
very
you have
actually
to.
few.
targeted the elevators. And this wasn't because of your music. I actually heard it in a news report. It was actually the maker of the elevator that they were pissed at. So you're in the clear for that one. But
But I mean, you also have to put in perspective that for every one elevator in Baghdad or another country, um, that's stealing and pirating my music, there's, hundreds in the US and other countries that are using elevators legitimately. And so ultimately, um, I don't, I know you talked about how I lose money for every pirated song. Ultimately, it's not that much of a deal. But the thing is, I'm not in it for the money. I'm just trying to get music out there to help people again on their journey.
that's
Yeah,
very refreshing.
and I could definitely tell from the tone and just the emotions in the music. It sounds very personal, and it sounds very like you're very passionate about it. And it's not something that you just do to as a living. You know, it's something you do because you want to.
Hmm.
But
Oh,
this
definitely.
brings me to my question. I wanted to ask you. Do you have any, when you first entered the elevator composition musical game,
Hmm.
what who stood out to you, and who was your inspiration, or did you even take inspiration from anybody? Did you kind of go about it on your own path, or kind of what inspired you to start elevator musicking, I guess?
Um, well, I went to school in New York at Empire State Conservatory. And as you know, Empire State Building is one of the tallest buildings in the world.
Uh-huh. And this is post or past?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Was this post or past Empire State?
This, I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
I think it's just current Empire State. I think we could just move on
Yeah, oh,
past
yeah.
that question.
I
Hmm.
see.
Um, but yeah, so it's one of the tallest buildings in the world. It has like 80 elevators in it. Um, and so they're all going to be playing music. So why would I not want to fill that big part of that building with my music? Because it's a big part of everyone's life.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And that's kind of where I got started. And now, um, my music is playing in all elevators of the Empire State Building, among other buildings. But that was my first goal initially.
Wow, that's amazing. Was there any like other elevator musicians who you kind of looked up to at the time?
Um, well, elevator music is not a very it. I would say it's still a very new um, form of music because elevators haven't been around for that long, let alone elevator music. Um, Many elevators, early elevators, they didn't have music at all, and people would get uncomfortable in them all the time. And
Okay.
so that's why people saw a need to comfort people. And so that was my senior project in college was to people were looking for ways to soothe people in elevators, and that's I was like, why not music?
Wow,
And so yeah, that's where it took off.
that's really cool. It's actually crazy that you brought up that it's a fairly recent genre of music, and that was actually going to be my next question. I know that the electric elevator itself kind of came into fruition about the late 1880s.
Mhm.
So you said that when it first came about, there wasn't really music being played, but
Mhm.
you think when before it was they were electronic elevators when they were kind of just pulley systems? Do you think there was like a live orchestra playing on the elevator, or it was just completely silent?
So the early attempts at this idea was to have a band play at either the bottom or the top of the elevator shaft and just have it echo throughout the elevator shaft. Um, but then you experience the Doppler effect, which
Oh,
which made things more difficult because the farther or closer you got to, or from the source of the sound, it changes the frequency and it changes the music as a whole. So people had to find a workaround with that, and so that's where they came up with radio waves to have flooded into the actual elevator chamber uh, to help uh, people.
Oh wow. Just to clarify for our listeners back at home, the Doppler effect is actually based off of Randolph D. Doppler. The reason that they came up with the Doppler effect is because this man used to just stand in elevators or in the opening to an elevator and just scream in it, so that it would echo. And he kind of coined the term the Doppler effect. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify that for the viewers at home who maybe aren't as familiar with elevator lore as we are.
I mean, and you see the same thing in like when you're standing on the street and a fire truck drives by you. You know, the sound sounds different when it's right next to you versus a mile down the street or so, and that you would experience that in an elevator as well. And yeah, it was fortunate that Randolph D. Doppler came up with this idea uh, because now it's become a big part of my career and my life.
wow. So I just want to talk a little bit about the introduction of the RPEVS systems, the rocket propulsion elevator systems that are taking effect, and I've heard that they can get up to from floor 1 to floor 70 in about 3.8 seconds. Now, I was just wondering how big of an impact is this on your industry? And I know you're gonna have to start cutting your songs by a subliminal amount of seconds, and I was just wondering what steps are you taking, to prevent this change?
I mean, with good um, any good artist changes with the times, changes how he needs to. Um, so with this new rocket propulsion system, obviously, I don't have as much time. Like previously, I would have, depending on how many floors they're going up, I would have, 30 seconds, a minute to go through a significant portion of my song. Whereas now, as you said, I have about 3 seconds or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been running some kind of experiments, I guess. My first one was to just take my song and speed it up, but I didn't like how that turned out.
Yeah, I could see how that
Yeah,
wouldn't be like your song, you know? It would just be a
mhm.
sped up version of your song.
Yeah. So what I have to do is I have to write new music to accommodate this, and this new music has higher beats per minute. It's faster tempo, and it's a lot quicker to get that build up, as I talked about before.
Yes, I see. And so wow, you're adapting. I figured that, as a leader, a founder of the elevator industry, you would take some steps to, prevent this. But I appreciate and I respect the change instead of conforming to the times, you know?
Like, time will tell to see if it's any good and if the people like it. But I'll do my best to
Now,
accommodate everyone.
yes, and say like 10, 15 years from now when they get that number up for the rocket propulsion and say they get a floor to say like 1 to 70 and probably like 0.03 seconds. Now what ideas do you have for the future of instantaneous elevator travel?
Instantaneous elevator travel. So by that time, that we can get people up in fractions of a second, 70 floors, I would think that we would have the technology to possibly implant a song in someone's head,
Whoa.
and so we can have
So
that full experience
Wow.
in that small amount of time. And
so
that's
you're
kind
telling me a person taking an elevator ride from floor 1 to 70 in 0.003 seconds will experience a 3 minute elevator ride, and, but not in their head, but not in reality.
exactly.
Wow.
It's kind of hard to wrap your head around.
I can't. That's something I need to hear to believe.
But unfortunately, our technology isn't there yet.
Yeah, it'll change with the times, I assume.
I've actually been working with engineers to kind of develop this technology in correlation to the rocket propulsion elevator system.
Uh-huh.
That,
So, yeah, did you have a point to say, Gweeb?
yeah, I just want to say that's really interesting. So I wasn't gonna bring it up, but you said that you're working with different elevator engineers. So, I actually have a friend in the elevator industry, and he was telling me about how they're coming up with this system where the faster the elevator goes, the slower you experience time in the elevator, and
Yes.
it's
Yes.
actually hasn't been implemented, and they don't plan on implementing it soon, because it's really still in the works. It's in the alpha stages of development right now, but it seems very promising for people in your type of industry making music that kind of depends on time. So do you think this is going to be like an advantage to you, or is it going to be
Yes.
okay?
Yes, definitely. So it goes back to the idea of relativity. So basically, time moves slower the faster you go. And when I'm saying that, I'm not talking about like the difference between staying still versus going 10 miles an hour. I'm talking about going several times the speed of sound or even fractions of the speed of light. This time will slow down. Um, and have you ever seen the movie Interstellar?
Oh
Oh, yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
definitely.
So that movie goes a lot into the idea of relativity and how people age differently because they're going through different. They're either traveling super fast or they're by high gravity sources. All those things can make time go slower, and that's my opportunity to play my music.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Now, on the top of Interstellar, I know in the next through I want to say 2030 is when they're estimated to build a full elevator system to the moon.
Mm.
Now, now I was just wondering, and I know it takes about I want to say a month or so, a little over a month, a little under a month to get to the moon. What do you plan as the main music composer? I've heard that NASA's got the contract and everything. What do you plan on playing to you know the industry of space?
Oh, sorry, you got cut off on the last part of that.
Oh, sorry. I was just wondering what you plan on playing for the moon elevator.
Um, I'm gonna take a lot of my inspiration from films such as 2001: Space Odyssey, uh,
Mm,
because I think those movies and well, that movie and movies like it really encapsulate the idea of space travel, and even if it's just to the moon.
yeah, and that's a big thing. Like this
Yeah.
is the next stage for humanity is to the next celestial object. So I'm I'm very I want to say proud of you of having this role in humanity.
I appreciate that actually a lot. I don't often get recognition um, because I mean my field isn't very well known, but I that's I appreciate your praise and I praise you on uh, your show and being interested in this kind of.
Now, I actually wanted to do a little side track here. Now, did you ever actually? I know you've taken trips to the moon before to, estimate the time it takes. Estimate the level of boredness, a level of,
Mhm.
excitedness of music could play on you.
Yeah.
Now, did you run into any trouble that you would,
Um.
come through, work through
So
on
I
your
mean,
way? Yeah.
I was earlier. I mean, I've said it a couple times. Um, the purpose of my music is to comfort people, and typically on an elevator, I don't think I need really to be comforted, but other people do. But the thing is, traveling to the moon, that's more of a strenuous journey.
It's
And
not very comfortable.
no,
Not
I
gonna lie.
wouldn't say so.
No.
And so I had to. That was like the first time for me personally that I felt uncomfortable on this
Wow.
trip. And so I think that'll help me write my music because it's more personal.
So this gave you a new perspective on life, say a
Definitely,
perspective
definitely.
with uncomfortability that you wouldn't have had before.
Hmm.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
on the topic of elevators into outer space, I was actually given an opportunity by NASA and by SpaceX to take a elevator to the International Space Station, and
Mm.
obviously this isn't as the International Space Station is a lot closer to Earth than the Moon is, so the time it takes to get there was drastically reduced. But um, you know, it very foolish on their part, but they didn't use your music during this time. What they actually
Really?
did, yeah, it kind of pissed me off a little bit. I had to take the Elon Musk to the side and kind of give him a word, but that's a story for another time. But what they did actually was kind of host a music festival on the
Mm.
elevator. So they had people sitting on top of the elevator, the acts, and they played their music there live. Do you think this is something
What?
that we could see becoming more common in the elevator scene?
Um, it would be difficult for that to happen, and I say this because it would be hard to retrofit all the current elevators to accommodate live performances.
Mm,
Um, that's why previous incarnations of elevator music involved bands, um, but they were never in the elevator with the people, and when you have people riding in the elevator, as well as a band and their instruments and all the equipment that they need, it becomes like an efficiency problem with the elevator. Like you have to, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah, that exceeds the occupancy.
Mhm.
Right.
And so it's kind of like a cost related issue and a cost and a safety related issue. So that's why we haven't done it before. But the thing is, elevators going to space they're built a lot stronger than a typical elevator is because it has to endure the harshness of space as well as anything that it might come in contact with. And particularly since the International Space Station is moving around the Earth, um, the elevator has to be kind of adaptable because it can't be attached to the space station all the time
Mm-hmm.
because it's moving.
Well, actually, that's a they actually didn't release that to the public yet, so I'm not sure if I'm able to share this, but it's actually completely attached to the space station, and it's actually the Earth side of the elevator that's connected to like a railroad track, and it just kind of rotates around the Earth constantly.
Yeah, that makes sense why they would do things that way. It seems like the simplest way for that problem to be fixed. I would think that the same would happen with in regards to an elevator on the moon.
Yeah.
They would have to do the same thing, just a lot longer. But in theory, the space station, if it works with the space station, it should work with the moon. It's just a matter of keeping it clear of any spatial debris.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
I see.
that's probably a big problem in that industry.
Space debris, definitely, yeah.
But good thing we're not interstellar elevator designers, and we're not the ones who have to worry about that.
Yep.
But to kind of bring things back down to earth for a second, and I'm sorry to bring this up because I know they're kind of the rivals to your industry specifically, but stairs. How come? Do you have any knowledge of why there isn't stair music that plays?
It's okay. You can talk to us on this, and it doesn't matter if you're the bad guy in this story. You just need to explain the truth.
Yeah, and once again, I'm sorry for bringing it up. I know they're kind of
No,
like your
I
rivals.
understand,
and it's a sore
and
spot.
I was kind of expecting that to be brought up. I mean, I know you guys are very thorough in your interviews, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's totally fine. I mean, people deserve to know.
Mm-hmm. Appreciate that.
But in
We
regards,
appreciate.
but in regards to stairs, people typically are too distracted. They get tired from stairs, and so they're not really listening to music like they would my music. People who ride elevators, they I don't want to say they seek the finer things, but they definitely seek the finer things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. People who ride elevators are definitely a lot more classier than stair people. And, I just think it's very inconsiderate and very rude of stair people to be distracted stairs, I don't think it's okay for people to navigate stairs while distracted, or it's a liability for theirs and other people's safety and health.
I respect people's right to choose stairs or elevator. I would never advocate for people to get rid of stairs. But the fact is, technology is advanced for a reason. So why not take advantage of it? We made elevators as a way to reduce the amount of work people have to input to get from one height to another height. We do the same with cars. Do people walk everywhere if they have a car? No. Why would I walk to work if I have a car?
Exactly. And I'm not sure if you know this or not, and I just got to bring it up real quick here on the JizzyJ and the Gweeb in the morning and the evenings. We're actually very much against stairs, and we hate everything having to do with stairs.
Oh yeah.
We do not support stairs in the slightest.
You can't fall in an elevator.
This is
You know?
true.
You just can't. It's like physically impossible.
Nobody's
Sure, you can hit the ground, but you can't fall.
Nobody's grandma has ever died from falling in an elevator, you know? But stairs, on the other hand, there's a lot of death on their hands.
And I don't want to put down stair people. That's not what I'm here to do. But I mean, at the end of the day, I have my choice. You guys have your choice, and everyone has their own choice.
Yeah, that's a very noble thing for you to say. But as politely as I can say it, I just want to say fuck you for saying that. But anyways, back to elevators.
So we're getting a little close to the end of this podcast here, and it's a tradition here. You know, we like to focus on the the darkest parts of the industries and then whatnot. And I wasn't really going to talk about this. This is backtracking a little towards the piracy of your elevator music.
Mm-hmm.
I know this could. I was thinking this could bring up some post-traumatic stress or anything, but because I heard it's pretty brutal. But so I've heard about these pirates. And they're not your typical pirates. For anybody listening out there, they're not these computer warriors and typing away, and they're actually closer to the Somalian pirates hijacking ships off the coast. And I've heard. I actually one of the books I found in my grandfather's attic. He had summaries of the different attacks that they would do just for this music. And I know you and your ancestors have experienced this like since the pirate ages. With I just wanted to ask you if you had any near death experiences, life encounters, experiences, anything like that while facing these adversaries.
Well, as you said before, you listen to my music on vinyl, and I think that's the purest form to listen to music. And so I make a point to make that the primary form of music that I produce. So what that means is I transport literal vinyl to all over the world for elevator music, as opposed to just sending a recording or sharing it on SoundCloud or something like that. And so with that transportation comes risk, and that's where you run into the elevator music pirates.
Wow. So have you ever been actively on an elevator during an elevator pirate attack?
Once, but thankfully, I was kind of trained for that sort of thing, and so I was able to subdue the pirate and prevent him from stealing or pirating my elevator music.
Wow, that's such an amazing story, and I'm glad that you were able to walk away from that situation safely. I know that elevator pirates are no joke, and they really they go in there with something in mind, and they're either gonna get what they want or they're gonna die trying.
Yep.
So I admire the dedication to your craft, to the point where you're willing to murder somebody for it.
I mean, anything in the elevator industry has its ups and downs, but you just gotta stay positive when things aren't going your way.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to remember just what happens in the elevator stays in the elevator,
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And to any of you ever thinking about stepping in an elevator, and you start hearing the music, I really just hope